Hello everybody and welcome to another Twilight Zone review. Today it is Season 3, Episode 5, A Game of Pool, written by George Clayton Johnson and starring Jack Klugman as Jesse Cardiff and Jonathan Winters as Fats Brown. This episode is a good Twilight Zone episode, which is very unique in this series. There's not really another episode like it. However, I do feel it loses a little something as it goes, and I will explain that as I go along. So we start with a man named Jesse, our main character, and he's playing pool by himself. And he gets upset because he's tired of hearing about a man named Fats Brown, who was a pool legend before Jesse, and Jesse keeps going on and on about he could beat him if he could just prove it by playing him. The problem is that Fats Brown is passed away and has been for some time. So we then go to a scene of Fats Brown, and he's in the afterlife, and he gets a call that says there's a man that wants to play you. So Fats appears in front of Jesse, and we go from there. Kind of an interesting concept. So, Jesse says it's impossible. How can you be here? Fats says because legends live forever, which is interesting, and in a way it's also true, because if you think about it, even people in history that have made a big impact that are passed away, we still talk about them. So in a way their legacy does live forever. So Jesse's not sure about this, and Fats tells him, you're all talk, you're afraid, you'll fold when the pressure's on. And they keep talking for a while and discussing the stakes of the game. And Fats says, if you're really that good, why don't we make it a life or death thing, as the stakes, which is a pretty big stakes, I would say. So finally Fats talks Jesse into playing by, challenging him, kind of, making him come along with him. And Jesse's still not sure, but finally he says, he'll play. So they do start to play pool, and some of this to me is more successful than other parts of it. So Fats does what he calls a perfect break. I couldn't really tell you, but I'll take his word for it. Jesse counters with a good shot, and they just play this psychological game for a while, which is interesting. Jesse gives his backstory where we get more into the character, which is all fine. And then this is where things, to me, it's still a good episode, but it kind of starts to get repetitive after a while. They just keep playing. First Jesse's winning, then Fats gets on a roll. You can tell Jesse's very worried about it. And then we finally get, after a lot of playing, to a point where there's only 4 balls left. Jesse is up 299 to 296, I believe it is. So he only needs to make 1 ball to win. Fats needs to make all 4. And at this point, Fats tries to psych him out by telling him, there's more to life, which is interesting because although I do believe Fats is trying to psych him out, what he says is true. We all have our interests and passions, but it questions whether sometimes maybe we get too deep into things where we miss everything else around us, whether it's good or not to be, so obsessed with something that that's all that you want to do. So that's an interesting, thought-provoking thing that I liked. But at the same time, this scene feels very padded. He just keeps talking and talking after this point is made, and the episode does feel a little padded and monotonous at this point. So finally, after all this, Jesse does hit the shot, and he says he's the best, and Fats thanks him that he lost, and Jesse says, what are you talking about? Fats says, you will find out when the time comes. So then we get a scene with Jesse just gloating, and this guy's really happy with himself, with what he's done. He feels like he's accomplished everything because he beats Fats, and he just brags about it for quite a while. So then we go to the last scene, which I do really like. I thought the twist of this episode was good and effective. And we see that now Jesse is in the afterlife, and he's getting calls like Fats used to play other people that want to beat him. So it's like he had to take Fats' place as the best, and he can't really rest peacefully because this is hanging over him. And Rod Serling that says that now Fats has gone fishing. So by losing, Fats was able to get this weight or burden off his shoulders, and he's able to rest easy while Jesse has to take it over, which, if you think about it, is true, because when you're the best at something, somebody always comes at you and wants to go for you. So I do think this is a good episode with a good lesson that works for the most part. I do, however, think this is one of those episodes that would have worked better as a shorter episode. You know, it's about 5 to 10 minutes of just padding, in my opinion, where the same thing keeps happening over and over. And I don't know that the story is that interesting. I mean, two guys playing pool, but it's well written with good characterizations. So overall, it's fine. It's a solid episode, and I give a game of pool a 3 out of 5. It's one to check out. I'm not sure if you need to watch it over and over, but a one-time watch of this one is good. So 3 out of 5 for a game of pool, and as always, thanks for watching.